Some of us.
How long's this meeting? Now I'm taking a
I
nap.
too get one free.
Are talking about beer 30.
All right.
hours yesterday,
Good
so-
morning, everybody here and out there at home with coffee. This is our 2019 annual board meeting. The board meets and talks about things throughout the year, but once a year we meet publicly so that we can give you guys a review of the health of your club and take questions. And of course, really the only reason you're here today at all in the first place is to go over all the thick pile of petitions that were submitted. We have a presentation that Bill and Paul will be sorting through as we go here. I'm not going to read it all, but basically, ChampCar is here. You guys know that race with us already. We are here to give you an affordable path to road racing, simple, no complications. We want to keep the cost of racing down, and we actually want to control the speed too. We don't want to let you guys go out there and kill yourself with 600 horsepower monster cars. We like to market to novice racers. We welcome anybody to come race with us. A lot of pro drivers come down to hone their skills. You might say, how do they do that? But when they have to start dodging amateurs who don't know where they are on track, they get really good at controlling their car. But we do like to bring in the novice racers, and that's why we go to shows and we hit up people who have never heard of this stuff before, and we get them in a car and we teach them with trial by fire. We have a very large and growing staff. You have met many of them coast to coast across the country here. We've got staff that works the entire country. We don't have regional staff, so you may see myself in North Carolina, and then in a few months later, I'm out in California. Same with Dana or Mike Morrison. They're not brothers, by the way. They just had the same last name. We are always adding staff because things happen. People get a really good job offer in real life, and they can't work for us anymore, or they have kids, or whatever happens. So we're always looking for staff. If you think this is a lot of fun, first of all, you're nuts. But second of all, come volunteer, and we will, potentially come to you someday with a job offer. So, all right, people sitting in front of you, your board of directors. We do elections every fall. We just finished our second election last fall, where Jerry and Bruce were re-elected. They are now stuck here for 3 more years with us. Congratulations, guys. This fall here, we have 2 more coming up. I believe it's Doc.
Vote for Doc.
Oh, and you're coming up. Doc and Tyler coming up this fall.
Yeah.
You guys get to choose your board of directors. Vote for them. They serve 3-year terms, and we all have jobs to do. We don't just meet once a year and do this presentation. We meet roughly about every month to talk about things, unless something blows up and you guys demand action immediately, and we get on the phone and we talk about that. So we are very active in the club. The board's role, everything that we're responsible for, they have to hire the CEO, which actually is me. They monitor the club's financial health. They work with the BCCR. We have to develop and implement rules, and we have to make sure that everybody stays safe, which is why if something happens that catches our eye at a track, we have maybe missed it before, it's a safety issue, we will step in and we will make changes immediately for the health and safety of our members. We want to make sure that you guys can get home to your families and come back and race with us again in the future. All right, for our marketing efforts, Doc, I believe you're going to
That's
talk about
me,
that.
yeah. So I am going to read directly from this. 2018 marketing efforts saw the start of standardization of the company printed and digital assets to better convey event information to the teams. We use print media, digital media, as well as social media. And the marketing team worked with the event directors to help keep the racers better informed when they actually arrive at the tracks. So ChampCar Live continues to see growth. We saw a doubling of subscribers on the YouTube channels and the start of a new series called Race Tech with Drew Knabb. So he's a NASCAR engineer with Joe Gibbs Racing, and they're just trying to basically go through car prep and make it easy to understand for people that want to join our series. So 2018 also saw ChampCar Live upgrade technology to make for a better show. There are always technology barriers to this kind of technology, but Bill Strong and Paul Veltum work hard to work within a modest budget to bring the best amateur racing show to a very broad audience via our live race day show. We talked to a lot of people, and frankly, it's a lot of the wives or spouses left behind at home that like to tune in to see what their significant others are doing. We also, this is our second year of ChampCar Sim Series. We operate on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. And the schedule basically mirrors the actual ChampCar schedule. So again, it's at 6 p.m. We have an Eastern and a Pacific division. Race nights, it's generally 2 hours of practice, an hour of qualifying, and then an hour of racing with a mandatory pit stop. Spec car, we use the MX-5 Global Cup car. Evidently, iRacing does not like the idea of creating an E30 model. I know.
Go figure.
So we have 26 practice rounds, and then we have 13 championship races. You're able to drop your 4 worst finishes, and the championship in both divisions, we give the winner a free ChampCar race, and that can be up to what, $1,600 worth of winnings. So the guys have a lot of fun. A lot of our regular racers are on there. Other people come in. So that's basically the ChampCar Sim Series. We'd like everybody to join if you're on the iRacing platform. Up to you, Tyler.
So another marketing effort we do is we do a lot of shows during the year. So we have a specific couple of shows that we pick. So I was at PRI last year, just finished up Long Beach Grand Prix for our second year. Great momentum out west. So if you have a show that you guys want to attend or have a suggestion, please let us know. We will send you marketing materials for that and have people attend for that. I think the big ones we're looking for is kind of Nebraska, Kansas type area. So if you guys have anything out there, let us know. And then this year, my effort when I came on the board in June was to bring on more sponsors. I think we have a great brand out there. It was we had more value to bring. So I got Tire Rack involved for our title sponsor. We locked them in for a 3-year deal with 2-year renewal. So we could potentially get with Tire Rack for 5 years. So that was a long-term deal Mike and I wanted to see. And then also our series sponsors, we wanted to see them locked into 3-year deals as well. So we have, of the series sponsors, we have 3 of the 5 we have locked into a 3-year. Actually, 4 of the 5 we have locked into a 3-year deal, and then class sponsors are all 1-year deals. So if you guys want to see sponsorships, if you have companies out there, let me know. We're looking for event sponsors as well. My focus for this year is to get more event sponsors, more national companies on board with ChampCar. Everyone likes the brand. I think the biggest thing with our marketing efforts and branding is with ChampCar Live. People like seeing what's going on at home, and they like to see the commercials out there. So if you guys have any sponsorships needs, let me know. So.
A quick question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, sorry, guys. Would bringing a sponsor in for a specific event maybe make it more viable in terms of, I'm looking at the West Coast and anything west of the Mississippi, actually,
Yep.
would that help attendance or help us make it more viable to go to a track? Even if we have low attendance, at least we're there. If we get a sponsor to help pick up some of those costs.
No, I agreed. So yeah, West Coast would be great, Jerry.
Okay.
So.
One thing we added here this morning, you got the slide, Paulie, about the truck. As you guys came in today, you may see this truck that they can't seem to find over there in the computer. Good job, tech guys. We purchased an ambulance, a used ambulance, just before the new year, December 31st, and it's been to a couple events so far this year, but it was rough looking. We just Wednesday afternoon picked it up from RVA. They finished wrapping it. You're going to see this at many events this year, and maybe even up down the highway as you're coming to or leaving the racetrack. It is a great marketing tool. Years ago, I used to have a concrete company, and all the money on Yellow Page ads just didn't do any good. But when I loaded up my trucks, the phone started ringing a lot more. So visual aids, people see stuff on the road, it reminds them of what they want to do at their house, or this catch their attention. They think that's pretty cool looking. They'll check out the website. Maybe they will race, maybe they'll tell a friend of theirs. But we're really proud of that, and go take a look at it, take some pictures when you're at the track. Oh, and I will add that we are going to get some team stickers people gave me, and I'm going to put them on the ambulance in a section of the ambulance. And if you've got team stickers, please get those our way. we're gonna create a collection on there and try to make it a
No.
a roadie truck. If you guys say, right?
Jerry's like, this thing. It's like
Small ones,
small
preferably,
ones.
please. Yes. So we liked it to be. If it's part of the family, it's part of your club.
Do
So
you still have the sample?
oh, I did. Yeah. So Doc gave us the his Brew Crew Racing sticker there. So we're gonna put that on the ambulance here we get done today.
So it's going to be like Seneca Lodge at Watkins Glen.
Or Seekins.
Yes. All right. For our financial report, Treasurer Jerry.
All right, we had a really good year, and we'll start with the balance sheet. You'll notice the cash is about the same as it was a year ago. The big difference is that last year we had a working capital loan of $88,000, and that was used largely to pay deposits ahead. So, for example, when you book a track and for the year, maybe they want a deposit in January, and you're not going to race there until May or June. So you haven't collected any of the money yet. So in the past, we've had to get a working capital loan to get through that period of time when we didn't have the event registration money, but still had to put the deposits down. We had a good enough year this year that we've eliminated the capital loan, so the cash is the same, but the liabilities are way down. In addition to that, we're paying the former founder of the series, and we're able to take, I think, is it 2 months a year that we don't have to make a payment?
Correct.
But this last year we made a payment every month because we could. So that liability is coming down as well. So we paid down $110,000, $120,000 of debt last year, which makes the business way more healthy. I mean, to not have a working capital loan is huge. Plus, we got charged a lot of interest on that, and now we don't have to worry about that anymore. So if we could have another year like this, plus increased sponsorship income, we should be in really good shape for the coming recession, which will be here sooner or later. Maybe it'll be in a year and a half, maybe it'll be in 5.5, who knows, but whatever it is, it's,
Downer.
well, they're just keeping it real. I mean, what will happen when the recession hits is everybody will still race, but they'll just race less.
Yeah.
And so the attendance will drop at every event, and it'll get much tighter for us to be a break-even proposition going forward. So the next sheet is the income statement, and that'll show you that revenues are up a couple $100,000 net, which is great, a 10% growth in revenue. But almost as important as that is that the costs, while they are up a little bit, they're not up nearly as much as the revenues are up. And the cost makeup has changed. So you can see we wisely dropped COTA, and the track rental fees dropped rather dramatically last year. And that's largely due to COTA, I believe, from the year before.
Oh yeah, Coda's expensive.
And then
Which was a huge money loser. And I'm not saying we won't go back there again someday, but Mike's probably saying that.
I'm not talking.
But I mean, I think it would be a good idea at some point, but it has to be
It's got to be financially
we can't take a
viable.
bath there. And, that was part of the beauty of bringing on Indy. We're not really making any money at Indy, but we had enough demand that we know we're not going to lose money there as well. And it really adds to the prestige of the brand. So that was a genius move to be able to go to Indy.
Well, and then remember in 2018 we had the snow out at Road America, so we had to still pay that track fee, but we didn't get the income from that either. So
Yeah, I mean, they canceled it. Did we still have to pay the track fee on that?
They rolled
Part of
over
it,
most
right.
of our money, but there was still
Yeah.
some losses
Yep.
there. So.
Yeah, but that hurt us too, and there's always going to be something like that. But luckily it didn't happen this last weekend. We've invested in the infrastructure of the business more. We've got more full-time employees that can get the job done, so we're not relying on 1 or 2 people to do everything. So the health of the organization is better from an overall standpoint. Even our equipment is better. You see the new truck? Well, that's a diesel truck. We're going to have that for the next 10 years. So we don't have to buy that again. We were getting by on stuff that was rusting out and just not getting the job done. And so now, again, those are assets that we carry forward. We've paid for that. The money's gone. So from a cash flow perspective, we don't have to pay for it again. That's something we can just enjoy now for the next 10 years. So I think that, overall, the shape of the organization is really good. We do need to still grow out west, and I don't know if we're going to talk more about that later. We're working on it. But again, I used to work for a company, and it was grow gracefully, I think, was maybe the term that we used, and that was, just don't go out there and put on 10 races and lose our butts doing it, but be strategic about it. So some of the tracks we're getting, the rent's low. Some of the configuration we're getting, the rent's low. So You know, like we're going to Hastings this year. We really only need 15 or 16 teams to show up to break even for that event. We'd like to get more, of course, but it gives us a chance to get into an area that we haven't been in before. So by doing that wisely, instead of just, you know, throwing darts at the wall and hoping something lands, we're able to grow the organization and not take a financial bath in the process. So I think that's one of the biggest things that we have going on. Our income went from, well, it's net income, we're a nonprofit, but, you know, revenue over expenses went from 50,000 to 122,000, which is really great, which allowed us to pay off all those loans. And you'll see a lot of that, the financing activity in the cash flow statement, the next statement, where you can see where the money went. It went to pay those things down. We don't have an $88,000 working capital loan to pay off at the end of 2018, like we did at the end of 2017. So that money goes into the coffers to buffet against future recession, allow us to do more marketing, allow us to maybe to take more chances on tracks if we decide to. But I think the goal is still to grow elegantly. I think that's kind of it.
And that financial statement's on the website right now. You can go to ChampCar.org and you can download it and study it if you're a numbers guy. Stuff bores me to death, but that's why Jerry does it.
Plus, he's the only one that can count.
I got 10 fingers and 10 toes. Yeah, so I'm happy with where we're at. I think that we've done a good job of adding assets, but not spending crazily, and putting money away as well, taking care of the business financially.
And also looking at ways to pass that on to the membership as well. We can get into that later, but
Yeah, well, it's
we're
coming
looking
up.
at that too.
Well, one of the big things too is, you know, let's say the recession does hit. I mean, what do? We reduce the number of events. That's a possibility. So we compress the racers into fewer events that are in, you know, less times, less geographic spread. We'd rather not do that. If we can build a war chest to get through it, we can continue to have our schedule. We won't maybe make as much money or any money, but we'll have the money to get through those times and still bring all the races to you guys at all the tracks you love.
Right,
Those
you
are
have to bring them
priceless.
back.
Yeah,
Yes.
we faced that this last year, last weekend at Road America. It was Easter weekend. We had 50 cars, which I thought was pretty
That was
good.
good. I was very pleased.
But it wasn't 80 cars. And we knew it was going to happen. The problem is if we gave up that date, next year AER would be there. Or,
There was a car club that
You
just
know.
wanted it, a local Mustang club that wanted it, and they'd get it, and we'd be back in line again. So that's why we ran an Easter.
yeah, so
So
sometimes you got to suck it up. And luckily it worked out. I think we had enough attendance and the
Yeah.
weather turned out
Oh,
great.
yeah.
And so it worked out. But that's the sort of thing that'll happen too. And if we can build up a war chest when we have an event like that, it won't hurt us as much.
good. All right. As I built this, I pulled up last year's presentation and compared our goals from last year to what we actually did this year. We wanted to establish some consistent dates for membership, and this isn't talking about tracks per se. This is our promises to you guys, when we're going to have the rules out, when we're going to do elections, when we're going to petitions to you guys. We publish those dates on our website, and we have stuck with them, even if it's stressful to kind of catch up with those deadlines. We have got those out there. I believe that it's a big improvement for your part and our part. We all have things to work towards now. Our event attendance was a goal. As always, that's really a goal every year, is we want to grow this family and get larger, and we can do more events at various places, and we did that. Doc tracks all that stuff for us, and he says we're adding currently about 5 to 10 new teams per event. Now, that is not saying that we are at 5 to 10 extra cars per event. That's a new teams to join the family. There are some that aren't at the event, whether they have left racing entirely or they're doing another event. But we are getting new teams in, and so we have reached that goal for last year. We wanted to add new teams. We said we wanted to increase our show presence, and we did that throughout last year. We are continuing to do it this year. And Tyler mentioned before the shows we did. Bruce was at the PRI show, or the Long Beach Grand Prix show with Chelsea just a few weeks ago. We did that for the second time. We did some shows in Pittsburgh. We did shows in Wisconsin. So we were doing as much as people tell us. We did that.
Did
We
one in
increased that.
Atlanta too.
Did we do Atlanta too?
Yeah, we did Wings and White Walls. Rich was there.
Oh, you got the trophy for that, right, Doc? That's why you're bringing it
it's a
up.
true participation trophy. Yeah, first car registered. Hey, you know,
We
it's got an F-14 on it. I mean,
Jeez. We had a goal to digitize tech, and while that is not completed, it is well underway, and we'll talk about some more of that here shortly. Finally, we wanted to work towards a self-sustaining club. So many car clubs in the country really hinge on a single person. Jerry sort of hinted at that before, and we want this club to be around in case I was to get hit by a bus. The things just keep going, you keep racing. And so we've made a lot of progress on it this year. I actually got to go on vacation. The unfortunate part was that my phone was broken and it kept getting messages all week long. So I got Bill and the rest of the guys talking about stuff all week long. It drove me nuts on my vacation.
It wasn't a paid vacation, was it?
No.
We just let you off the hook for a week.
All right, for this year goals, we want to expand our track offerings. We've got a lot of tracks in the country. We obviously, we have Indy coming up this year. That was a huge goal, huge accomplishment last year. And I should say right now that nobody at the table is responsible for that. That was my wife, Andrea. She's the one who got a hold of the track and worked it out with them. Sometimes it takes a woman's touch to get things done, and that was a great example of that. But as we're already in schedule season right now, usually we don't start that until June or so, and I've made track visits back in April, early this month, and we've already got a meeting for another track next month. So we've got one new track on the schedule for 2020, already booked, and I got an old favorite that looks like it might happen for 2020, but we won't announce that for a while. So we're well on our way to adding some more new tracks.
So Bill's marketing efforts are working then.
I don't know, maybe it's just my wife. She's just good at this stuff.
Are you in the doghouse or something?
No. She's, my gruff voice. Yeah, they just answer the phone for her. I don't know.
Bill, you're doing a great job.
It's a funny thing, actually. Sonoma, we called for a long time, and I would call and leave voicemails, and I would email, and nothing would come back. And Mike Morrison would call, and all the same things. And are they not alive? And my wife says, let me call. And finally I says, fine, go ahead and call. And she calls. The woman picks up the phone the other end, does the whole deal. This was 3 years ago. Unbelievable. Anyway.
Yep.
Magic. For this year, our marketing goals. Doc, you and Bill worked this stuff out?
Nah, I don't even talk to him unless I have to.
Nobody does.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was still another marketing page. So we
help
talked
you out,
about it earlier, but we're standardizing the ChampCar, the printed and the digital products, so it all has the same look. It's high quality, professional. Of course, we did the whole rebranding last year, and that's worked out really well. We're increasing the video production of the membership to assist them in building safer and better performing race cars, to include the B-roll sections with the ChampCar live productions. We run some of those. And Race Tech with Drew Knabb, a very knowledgeable guy. The goal is to show how easy it is to get to wheel racing with us. So we're increasing the outreach to new and existing auto racers by attending more car shows, working with student and school run teams. So I know Bill and Mike have both talked to many of them, and you're starting to see them show up at our races.
There's 4 here this weekend.
Yeah, there's 4 of them here, so it's really working out well.
And then we're also we're leveraging the Tire Rack sponsorship as well. So if you guys get the Tire Rack mailer every year, I think it goes out to.
I got mine.
Yeah, it goes out to I'd say how many Bill? It's not a million people, right?
100,000. Yeah.
150,000 people. So we actually got a little bit of branding in the Tire Rack marketing sheet that goes out every year. So if you get, it has all their new products and all the new tires. So we have branding out there. So we're really trying to leverage our partnerships with all the sponsors to do that. So I know Racing Radios has really done a great job on marketing on their Facebook and stuff like that. So we're leveraging our new sponsorship partnerships to get our brand out there. So
How does the Tire Rack feel about us right now? You know?
they love it. So Mike and Bill created a big check. So as you guys know, we're giving back to the members this year. So how many are we doing? Are we doing 10 events?
We're basically giving $11,000.
Yeah, we're giving $11,000 back to the membership in tires. So, as a company, we bought those gift certificates, and so Bill and Mike created a big check, and they have the tire rack on there, and it gets taken every event. So they love the marketing that we're doing with them. They like the commercials. We're doing we have quarterly updates with them, and they love everything we're doing. So it's going great. So
They raced last weekend too.
they did race, and they had their brand on the car. So.
Did they?
They did.
Good.
So
Very
they
good.
have it all stickered up, and they'll be at Indy. So that's their big event this year. So if you have any questions, they'll be at Indy. If you want to attend, all the Tire Rack people will be there. So
Moving on to attendance. We have no issues sugarcoating. We don't want to hide anything, and so we're open about. We have been very successful out here. The growth out here, especially this year, has been staggering. With the wait lists at so many events are long. There's over 72 cars on the wait list for Indianapolis. There's over 30 cars on the wait list for Watkins Glen. We had a dozen cars on the wait list for Daytona, and that's a race we already take as many as 130. So, the people are trying to get in, and all the smaller events in between these big events are filling up as well. So when you're looking at things east of the Mississippi, we are as healthy as one could be. But when we look out west of the Rockies, it's opposite. We just can't get any cars to show up there. It's not for lack of trying. We've tried all sorts of traditional marketing tactics. We first tried to shift and make it so that it's the same people running the races, it's the same rule book, it's the same format. So those of you, if anybody out there has gone from an east event to a west event, you get the same feel. It's a different track, but everything else is the ChampCar. You're used to it. We did that, didn't seem to have much effect. We've done some special pricing out there, hasn't seemed to have an effect. So we're banging our heads and we're looking for reasons why, and we're contacting some people out there who live in the area, and what is the issue you see? One of the largest comments is, we like racing with you guys, but we like racing against other cars. And so it's a catch-22 problem where we have no cars, so they don't race with us, and because they don't race with us, we have no cars. We're trying to figure out how to get out of that spiral. And we believe that if we could put some cars on track, it will be self-sustaining and it will take off in the West as it has in the East. So we're continuing to work on that. We are not giving up on the West Coast. We have a good schedule put out this year, and I'm going to book the tracks again next year. So if you live out there and you're worried about that, we're not giving up. We're going to keep pushing.
we're not canceling any events out there this year, right?
No, we're not canceling events either. That's been a big concern in the past. As evidenced by, we have Thunderhill next weekend. We have 9 cars. It's all paid for. The plane tickets are paid for. We're going to run a race somehow. I'm not sure how we race 9 cars. But look, we're going to put our investment into it. We're behind it. Let's get the racers to come out there and support it. All right, technology for next year. As I mentioned, last year we had a goal to digitize tech. We were working on it. We are much closer at this point. Matter of fact, just last week we shipped the hardware devices to our programmer, and he is now taking the construct he's created on his home computer and loading them onto the tablets and testing them. Basically, you're going to be able to start your tech online at home when you register your car. And then when you get there, they're going to meet your car with a tablet, and they will go through some things digitally. And once you're checked in with the tablet, it shows up on registration. So essentially a paperless system for you, because most of you don't bring your tech sheets to tech anyway. And now we'll have a reference. We can go back and we can look this stuff up. When you go to impound, if you're one of the podium cars, we can just type in your number in the tablet and get all your information. It will eventually be online that potentially is searchable, because I know that will be the next question that comes up. So we're really excited about this system. And we look to use it for the very first time at New Year's Eve Sebring this year. And that means starting in 2020, all cars will be tech digitally.
Can you talk about the roll cage stuff that's going on too? The guy who's making the...
Oh, well, that's actually, we're going to hit that
That's in
in
the
one of the petitions.
petitions.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's in
perfect.
the
Okay.
petitions, yeah.
All right, so before we get into the only reason you guys are here in the first place, the petitions, we got 2 hours here. We spent 30. Does anybody who's here or online have any questions about the club's health, things we have done last year, things we're going to do going forward that doesn't pertain to the rules? Nobody cares about that stuff.
Yeah,
The online is about 20 to 30 seconds behind live, so.
So we should take an intermission for 20 to 30 seconds, I don't think. Water break.
Mike, I had a suggestion for the media, and I'm not sure why you don't, but there's probably some technical reasons why calling documents can't do it, but do you think you would have a larger audience if you actually stayed live through impound and even into the awards presentation?
I have no problem doing that. It just comes down to what production guys
Repeat
say.
the question, please, so that.
Oh, the question was a suggestion from a member that we keep our live broadcast rolling live during the impound process and the award ceremony, as opposed to cutting it off after the checkered flag. And I have no problem with that. It's fine with me, but our production guys may have issues that they could address.
So when we're live at most tracks where we put impound, the internet is not always good. We get massive cutouts for live stuff, and if you see me go running down up in pit lane sometimes, there's some places I can't go because I have no connection. So we tried to do it last year, and we had a lot of problems. So we started doing just the recorded, and that ended up being a lot better for us. I mean, we can go back to doing live if that's what the membership wants.
Why don't we,
Yeah.
we could try it.
Yeah, I mean.
There's some tracks where we do have some limitations.
Yeah, it's we're using technology, the wireless stuff. There's a quantum leap, money wise, to get our broadcast to the next level, and I mean it's exponential. We're doing the best we can with what the club can afford, basically, and the next level. I mean. Bill's gone out, he's visited the IMSA guys, and it's like, y'all are doing the same thing we do, but, they have a broadcast truck. So they've got engineers standing by, and they're doing all the stuff that Paulie's doing on the, while commentating. So we're juggling as many balls as we can. And like I said, the next step up would be wired systems. And then you're looking at union cameramen, blah, blah, blah. It's just a huge jump what we're trying to do. It's like going from analog to digital.
I'd like to sponsor a broadcast truck.
Yeah.
If you want to sponsor a broadcast truck,
Yeah, if
please
anybody's
get a
got
hold of me.
Anybody's got a couple of extra $100,000 laying around that's just not working for you.
but
even a satellite truck is ridiculously expensive per hour.
I bet I can buy a used ambulance Jeep.
Yeah.
I mean, we
But-
can do it. There's some tracks where we technically can't because of where they put impound.
Right.
Sonoma is very difficult because we have a blank spot right there. We can look at maybe moving impound to different areas. Some of the tracks, depending on weather, we're in garages, and we most likely will not have good live feeds from inside the garages. So, but we'll look into that and see. What we
I mean, personally, I'd love the awards live.
Yeah.
It seems to me
absolutely.
when I first started in the series 5 years ago, the awards
use
were a big
MiFis.
deal. Everybody quit
Already.
loading their trailers and went to the awards. And now it seems like it's lost a little bit of excitement, but that's my personal opinion.
Chris, what was your suggestion?
Some of the places like in the mountains have Verizon sells them a box that is like a 4G transmitter, and you plug it into your hardwired internet and then the power wall, and it makes its own 4G network locally. So you could plug that into Sonoma's Wi-Fi or Sonoma's hardwired internet.
Yeah, that doesn't always work.
Doesn't always
We have
either.
some stuff that we already use. There's issues with tracks and stuff that we're looking at.
I mean, I like the
Fires
idea.
everything
You're
up,
doing
then
a
it's
great
hard.
job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea, and I think it's something that we should consider. And at tracks where we can do it,
Yeah.
I think it just means that if you can do it at a track, that the impound needs to get scheduled and it needs
So-
to stop at a certain point, and the awards ceremony needs to happen right afterwards, because sometimes it can drag for
So
quite a while.
you guys also need to realize that my employees, Paul Veltum and Doc Waldrop,
And
Have-
Tiffany.
and Tiffany, I'm sorry.
Jeez, Bill.
Isn't that harassment?
have,
Go to HR.
For the 14, some of these shows, they've been on for a 14-hour race for almost 16 or 17 hours straight. So it's
A long day.
It's a very long day for some of these folks, and
Yeah, but they're highly
sometimes
compensated.
I have to let
All I'm
them-
hearing is excuses over there.
Hot
Yeah,
bowl of
so
rice
I
and a glass of
just-
ice water.
In 24 hours, we've been up for 36 hours.
Right.
Take a bathroom break before trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we have some questions.
One
on-
break
Online
only.
question, go ahead. And I saw you, Rick. Yeah, I know.
Jay Christensen, it says, great job. Is there an opportunity to partner with track day organizations in the West or Midwest to get our name to more folks?
Short answer is yes. Long answer is it's complicated. I've met a lot of the DE clubs out there, track groups, and friendly, good people. And we've talked about some potential partnerships. Haven't quite figured out how it works. So we haven't gone anywhere. I mean, obviously limited resources, so put our efforts into other things. But it's a good option on the table. It's as much as I can say about it.
And on this next subject, Grafton Robertson says only 19 members submitted comments to the petitions. Question mark, that's nuts.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
And that's it for all
Right.
mine.
A couple other promotional things we use, Facebook, we got a big Facebook page, and also Instagram, tweeting, all the things that, social media.
And it does help when
That
people
one
share the
plus-
broadcast and share the things that we post on Facebook and that sort of thing.
Plus Miles has put our name out
Exactly.
there, in their
Mhm.
publications and stuff, so there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
And then we got something in Grassroots Motorsports too, right, Bill? So,
CRM Monster, that been really neat.
We advertise paper and digital with them, yes.
yep, so.
Okay, petitions, and along the lines of our online comment. You see here, it says 69 petitions. It doesn't seem too harmful, except this was what 69 petitions looks like. It takes a long time to go through them. Many of you read them, and it took you a long time. Maybe you got tired halfway through and just said, screw it, I'm going to watch Game of Thrones or something. We went through all of them for a month. It takes a while. But it's interesting, though, that all of these only come from 19 people.
Yeah.
We're roughly a 4,000 member club, so as you can see, it's 0.5%. That is, I'm not sure how to read that. Do we
If
have
it's good or bad.
Yeah, do we have 0.5% that really cares or has problems with the way things are, and 99.5% say awesome as is, or do we have 99.5% of people that may have opinions, they just don't want to have the time to share them with us? I don't know.
Well, I do a lot of informal polling when I race. I always ask teams, I walk up and down pit road if I can, if I'm not working on my stupid car. Walk up and down pit road and ask people. And I get a lot of the same comments. Hey, everything's great. I mean, they'll say that. Everything's great. No, don't change a thing. Everything's good. So I'm not sure that everybody's in, and I think it depends on the goal of the team. If they're really out to, I want to win every race I can, then maybe they're more invested. A lot of those teams are there to have a good time and get on
And
the
hang
track.
out with their buddies.
Yeah, hang out with and race car on a racetrack, and those teams all seem to be pretty happy. So I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
And I think the rules stability over the last few years has helped as well.
I would like to think they've been stable. I know some people may argue that point. Yes.
Mike, I can speak for Visceral Racing Group, our whole team. We're very, very happy with the series. I didn't respond back to any to petitions, but we will continue going to the races. We like everything that you guys are doing, so thank you.
Good. And I know you, Ron, if there's a problem, you'll come drag me down pit road.
From the 0.5% that did submit petitions, everything is still great.
Good. We got a lot, not many emails. 18 emails came in from people about those petitions. That's interesting. All right.
And that was weird because last year I think we had like
Still in
43
We had
or something.
over 40 people emailed
Yeah.
us about them, but this year only 18 people. So, and even those people only pick and chose a few different things to comment on. It was much easier to get through. Anyway, we'll say that because of her time, all VPI petitions we're not addressing today. The TAC is finishing up some of those anyway. We had to get them to go through a lot of the petitions.
They went through all of them.
They finished already?
Yeah,
Okay.
so essentially, Rich and I had, before the board met for 4 weeks, Rich and I met with the TAC for 4 weeks to go through all the petitions, and they essentially suggested to the board what they wanted to do with the petition. So they went through everything as well. So they're going to reviewed all the petitions. They're going to review the rule book for 2020 as well again, And so they're going through everything and checks and balance with the board, and they're making their suggestions to us. So a lot of the information they give us, we take, and it's a great avenue, and that's what you guys wanted last year. So we put that in place, and we went through everything. So a lot of stuff that we see here was suggested by the TAC as well. So
Technical Advisory Committee.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we use
Yeah.
slang around here.
Yeah.
BPI, TAC, you know.
I'm in banking, so we use slang all the time. So
And
break
first,
it down.
thank you, Chris, for all your work on,
Yeah.
I mean, hours and hours of work to go through all this. But actually, no, I'm serious.
No,
Thank
yeah.
you.
No,
Because
absolutely.
you're helping us, and a lot of that stuff is not gonna get talked about today because it's technical in nature and it's going to the TAC.
yeah.
But appreciate all the efforts, because once we clean a lot of those things up, they don't have to be cleaned up again
Yeah.
and done.
Yeah.
So,
As a reminder, the Technical Advisory Committee works for the board, not the membership. Some people have sent me emails, said, I've emailed the TAC and they haven't responded. That's because they don't work for the members, they work for the board. We approach them with questions of a technical nature and ask for their opinion. Their final decision, if you want to put it, their group opinion
Yeah.
isn't necessarily rule, it is their suggestion. We as the board can take it, we can modify it, we can reject it. But they've been a great help to us in getting a lot of the stuff done.
Well, and the TAC came about because of a petition last year.
Yeah.
We didn't like the way the petition was written. I can't remember the exact details, but that's a great idea. So let's get that going. But we denied the petition, but it
Yeah.
still
If you
happened.
wanted to put a larger group,
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
we
we
suggested.
changed the number of members, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
yeah,
something
we
from
suggested
3 to
3 and
5.
we went with 7, I think.
Questions?
Yeah.
Is the TAC a perpetual posting, or is that up for?
It's an annual thing, which means later this year, this summer, we should be doing it over again. That's a date that we should add to the
Calendar.
website calendar for doing it.
Every year.
All right, let's get into this stuff here. All right, so we had multiple petitions on similar topics. Starting with petition 1 was about the swap formula. There's 3 petitions: petition 1, petition 2, and petition 48 that all dealt with swap formula being incorrect. And each petition addressed something different about it and proposed a different solution to that problem. I will say that on petition 148 we said no to changing the formula. However, on petition 2, the petition was written that the definition of horsepower add was incorrect, and that is true. It is incorrect. It says in the rule book that horsepower add is the horsepower of the new engine. That is not true. The formula doesn't use it that way. Somehow it got defined that way in the rule book. That's a mistake. So we are correcting what is written in the BCCR to say that horsepower add is the amount of horsepower you're adding to the old engine, and that will match the way the formula is written. So petition 2 is yes. Petition 1 and 48 are no. All right. Right away up front, one of the most complicated and controversial things of all the petitions.
Which
Petition 3.
What are you talking about? What do you?
petition number?
We're on
It's written right
We're on
there.
3.
Petition
Okay,
3.
I just want to make sure I'm on the right.
Follow along, Bill. I did. Never mind. All right. There was probably no less than 6 petitions that dealt with how to handle swaps. And there was stuff like get rid of swaps. There was stuff that says that swaps should be fixed. There was swaps. I mean, anything you can think of. You have to read through this whole thing to get through them all.
Getting the whole calculator actually and going
Yes.
directly to the board.
Somebody said calculator, delete the calculator, and basically if you want to swap a car, the board has to approve it individually every time. Lots of different ideas in there. This particular one was the very first one we cover in the book, and it basically said that the weights are being manipulated and it is angering members, and so they suggest if you're going to change the weight, don't call it weight, call it something else. In this particular petition, they suggested swap performance value. IMSA uses a BOP, balance of power. It's a factor that changes it. We can call it anything we want, but we said yes to this because it's what we already do. And I talked to a bunch of teams at the track about this, and they were trying to wrap their head around it. And I said that when this swap originally was developed a couple years ago, the original intent of the board was that we had to have a way to tweak the final numbers because math is great, but math is not flawless without human intervention. And as an example, if we were to lock every car to its as-published weight into the swap formula, we would have cars that would be allowed to add an additional 200 horsepower to their car and under 500 points, and other cars that they added a half a horsepower would be 1,000 points. It's not solvable via the formula. We couldn't God knows we tried. My hard drive's loaded with at least a dozen iterations of stuff we worked on for months, years ago. It just, with so many different cars, so many different engines, it wasn't possible. Plus the fact that the formula essentially is power to weight based. It doesn't take into account fuel capacity, drive configuration, aero drag, reliability, and that stuff. This requires human intervention. So the original intent from the board was that the formula would be adjusted by weight. So, we could up the weight a little bit, decrease the weight a little bit, and we would get the number that essentially the board thought was fair. So this petition 3 says we're going to continue to do that for 2020, but we're not going to use the word weight. We're going to call it what it is, which is a factor. And we haven't decided on the exact term that will come out, for the rule book, but all the other petitions regarding swap changes were denied, and it's just, it's an ongoing process. It's not something we close the book on. It says don't ask us again. We're not changing anything. We're always looking at it, and we quite possibly will move to something more of a couple fixed value swaps in the long run. Maybe somebody comes up with a really awesome complex formula. Maybe someone works at NASA and give us math formulas. I don't know. But for this year, the general process of swaps are not going to change. We're just going to change the terminology from weight to SPV or something similar.
We did talk a lot about a common swap table, like a VPI table for swaps, but this accomplishes the same thing, and I think we all agree that this is the one that creates the least amount of turmoil in the rules. Just change it to what it is. You guys were right. Weights were being manipulated because it wasn't just weights, it was an adjustment for the value. So, anyway.
All right. Cars, petition number 4, cars not added to the VPI tables. So this dealt with car shows up on track that wasn't in the VPI book, so to speak. And the petition said that it needs to be added. Now, what we've done since the petition was written and now is we do quarterly updates. So if someone says, hey, I want to run a 2009 Chevy Spark, fine. It's perfectly fine to run with us. We don't have a problem with that. It's not in the book, so now we get a value for them. We collect some values for a quarter, and then on March 1st, June 1st, so on and so forth, quarterly, we publish an update of new cars to the VPI table. These are not adjustments to old values. No values are changed. This is only a brand new car added to the book for the first time. And now this means that the car can get into the race, and it's not an unheard of car. So we board voted no of this because technically we already are doing this, and we released the first update on March 1st of this year.
A lot of these no's are really yeses, just in a different format.
Well, it's
the truth. Like, we don't like something about the petition, but we like the idea, and that's just like the TAC last year. We rejected the petition, but we still put it in play.
As a board, we have to vote as a petition is presented to us. That's how we have to vote. So that's all of our votes are based on how it was presented to us. So if there's one word in there we don't like, it's going to get no, but we'll suggest it possibly to put in the rule book for 2020. So.
We did that with a lot.
Yeah.
Oh.
Exactly like we did with the TAC last year.
And not to spur a whole bunch of new petitions next year, but you can't give us a petition with 4 options.
Yeah. All option petitions were denied right away because which one do you want? So.
Because it doesn't work.
So you suggest submitting 4 petitions?
That's what I just said.
Yeah, if that's really what you want to do.
Carpal tunnel for you, Chris.
Chris, if you have the time, feel free. But
Or you could pick your best recommendation.
or you work with
that
work with the TAC. The TAC can still give a petition, and we didn't see this at all this year. So as I suggested in the fall, please work with the TAC to write a petition. If something comes from the TAC as a petition form, we're going to look at it pretty seriously because it's coming from the TAC rather than a member. So if you,
the TAC and I got a response from you.
I'm part of the TAC. Yeah, I understand, Chris. I'm just saying that if you if you have 4 options, go to the TAC, see if you can put something together. And I've got all the contact info on the forums for the TAC and stuff. So I'm trying to help out and get you in contact with the TAC. So.
And as Jerry said, you may have 4 options on a petition, and we didn't like 3 of them. We liked 1 of them, so we vote no. But we're going to take action on the idea we like. So.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Petition 5, similar. New vehicles being added must be approved by the board of directors. No, because technically this is the job of the CEO, and I work with the tech committee and with the tech guys, and come up with a number. The board talked about it, and They did not want to be involved in weekly updates with the should this car be allowed. They are fine with having the CEO and tech guys take care of this stuff. All right, this is swap rules 1, petition number 6. That was one of the ones that we said no to. Petition 7, make public swap sheets. Make public swap sheets. There we go. This would be like, right now, logbooks are open. So we come to impound, and you can take a look at anybody's logbook, and this petition was asking them to have swap sheets on there too. And reasons no, we decided not to publish text sheets, and this is the same reason for swap sheets. A lot of times they're not there. They're scanning them in digitally, but there's been multiple occasions that printer that sits in a hot truck all summer, we get to the track and all of a sudden the ink is jammed up, the toner is jammed, and we can't print anything out. So if I have a rule in the book that says I have to publish this and my printer's jammed, I got the membership yelling at me, but I can't do anything about it because Staples is not open at 11 o'clock at night at Sebring. So we're not publishing the swap sheets either.
And Mike, this is already in the works with the technical
Correct.
update anyway.
It
So
will be
it's coming
addressed-
in 2020 anyway.
It'll be addressed
we hope.
digitally anyway.
So if that's a digital tech, this will be done digitally.
Yes.
It will be available. The first year in 2020, it's not going to be there because we want to run the system and see how it works. And then as we move on to 2021, we can carefully allow that to be opened up. Yes.
That was my question. If once it's digitized, it'll then be available at the database for everybody.
Well, in the end, I mean, at impound, Jay's taking the logbooks. You're putting the logbooks on there, so really the top 5 cars in the race are being publicized anyway at the race. Yeah, and so he's putting the long form and everything on there, so that we're just not putting it on the website. That's the thing. So
I should add that you'll notice on the slides, the italicized quoted comments, those are from members that emailed us. Like I said, we had far less comments back this year, so I didn't have as much to work with, but I pulled out comments, put the relevant to the petition and posted them there so you guys can kind of see what some of your fellow racers members had said.
And this whole digital tech thing, it's very complicated in getting all the systems to work together. You got to remember, we have, I think the last time I counted, we've got over 700 cars running in our series. So, and it just, between registration and everything, it's just taking a little while to get it worked out to, where it works up to our expectations. So,
Headlights, so you could say, talk about all headlight ones in general, so go to all of them.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love it. Because one of the things I used to, information comes to me to put together just what we use on ChampCar Live. It comes to me in a variety of formats. But yeah, once it's a searchable database, it's going to be awesome for us to keep track of things. So.
All right.
So yeah, the next one I'm going to take over so Mike can catch his breath. So we had three petitions on headlights. There's a couple that were aiming headlights, some that, hey, check headlights, pointing at pit out and stuff like that. This one is
Clarifying all the language.
clarifying the language about the headlights and things like that. What we can improve and stuff with LEDs and lumens and stuff like that. We said no to all the headlight stuff. We want to figure out something with the TAC and the board on the headlight deal. I understand all the members are trying to figure out, hey, we're getting blinded in the rearview mirror. It's getting kind of out of control because there's some Chinese light bars that are way, over the lumens amount. So we're going to go back to TAC and say, hey, what's the best idea on this headlight deal and go from there. So we're going to, I'm guessing we're probably not going to put anything for 2020, but maybe 2020.
I think we probably can get through this summer.
All right, so
we got a couple months.
So TAC's going to look at it during the summer and see what the best option is for headlights. So all the petitions with headlights were no, but we're going to look into it further for the safety of our membership.
I mean, part of the problem is, in my former life, I was a lighting designer, and this lumen value that manufacturers publish is total rubbish. I can tell you that. It's kind of like the old horsepower wars in the 60s and 70s. People were claiming ridiculous horsepower numbers, and really that's the marketing department. This is a guy like, I think they'll buy 450 horse. The lumens, there's just not a great way to get that value. We had the battle with the Secret Service all the time because they like 135 dBs on stage when the president's there. Well, you can take 5 different light meters and get 5 different ratings. So eventually they're just looking at what's going out on camera and it's like, yep, that's perfect, great. And you look at your meter and it's like, yeah, it's 110. So it's going to take some doing.
Well, another one of the issues with the lights too. I mean, we've been talking about lights since we started this series.
Mm-hmm.
I remember lights being an issue in 2011. So one of the issues is aiming too, and that's one of the petitions. It's kind of a subjective thing, and I mean, who determines whether you've got it aimed the right way? And then it could change when you're out on track. You hit a
petitions.
bump and a light moves, and now what?
There was a petition that's required every car coming out of pit out to get checked against a gauge board to measure. And all of us said, oh, heck no, because right away we visualized the leader is coming out and second place is coming down the front straightaway and he wants to go. And we're like, hold on, we got to get the board in place. And you're just costing the race. We'll get no end of ear bleeding from that one. So he said, no, we're not going to do the board. But that's the problem that goes into that stuff.
The logistics don't work for that.
Yes.
All right.
Anyway.
Next one.
Got a question.
Get a call.
Well, I just want to make a point that we talked about as in the TAC group.
Yes.
Yes, we have a hollowed TAC member with us today.
Yeah.
So we talked about, we know there's an issue. Everybody accepts the fact there's an issue
Yes.
that's got to get dealt with, and we're going to do it.
You got a long list to go through this summer.
Yeah. That whole list we talked about, you may just start over.
All right. Next one. So this is taking the
Say 9 because they
nine.
he's trying
Number
to
9.
9, yeah.
Holly, number 9.
Number 9.
whatever.
So this is one that it's kind of clarifying what is the carb intake manifold throttle body on the fixed point value. So as a board, we said, yeah, we need to kind of clarify what each part is. We're going to take a look at it and define the point number and how much is each for this 2020. So this will be implemented in 2020 on the fixed VPI. So things will be broken out. So it's more.
That was correct.
It's being more. Okay, so it's correct how you wrote it. So that's how we're going to do it. So petition 9, we agreed yes. So it'll be broken out, 25 points for everything on there. So like an a la carte type option. So it'll be better for tech to be able to come in with their logbooks and stuff. So that went through. So next one. The 2-time rule on the national chain store, we said no. This is kind of I think a mess to deal with.
We would want to define which stores you could go to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the issue was, someone was worried about a loophole that said, what about people coming in and using used parts? Like, well, this is an OEM part, it's within whatever, but it was not new. And so we said, all right, we're not going to define where you can and can't buy the parts, but it's got to be a brand new part from a store that anybody can go find. It can't be it's a secret store you have to go to give 3 knocks in the back alley room. It's got to be, GMPartsExpress.com, or it's got to be AutoZone, or something that is widely known, everybody has access to.
Are you going to leave the note about receipts in the rules?
Receipts are a good idea so that when Jay and Ray doubt you, that you can say, no, I got it from right here, and they could go to that website and pull it up and be like, yeah, that's true. It's our opinion, at least my opinion, when I build my car, that I had a book full of all of the specs, the receipts of things I bought and parts that I used, so that if tech has a question, we're not he said, she said arguing. I can show them exactly what it is, and tech appreciates that, and it helps them do their job better. So you're not required to bring receipts in. I think it's wise, and so we're going to leave the word in there.
But we're adding the new to it.
Yeah, we're just going to add the word new, so you have to buy new parts, not just parts.
Next one is being able to use JDM engines with the EDM engines as long as they're 3% within horsepower and displacement, I think. So we went ahead and we're already doing this today. So we went ahead and improved this one. So it's going to go ahead and go into the 2020 rule book. So these are, the Civics are doing it. I think the Miatas or some of them are doing that as well. So
people were running through the swap calculator. They don't have to do that.
yeah. So essentially, yeah. So essentially, if you can use a JDM engine, if as long as it's 3% within the stock EDM spec, we're approving it. Move on.
What about the Miata, the JDM Miata motor? We find out what the official power is yet?
Can't get a definite number. It kind of goes from 4 to 9, but we haven't really had that many, 99.
We have one.
2,000 cars that would be replacement factor.
That's a
for.
top
What's
priority,
everybody's
is to,
NA?
the top priority to get the official document and publish it somewhere that this is what we're gonna say that motor's horsepower is, so.
I called Mazda Motorsports and the guy said I wasn't even alive in 1999, so. As far as looking up the data, he said it would take a while, but he is actually gonna try to get in touch with somebody in Japan. Then you can translate the Japanese answer.
We screwed up on the board.
That's fine, I'll do
I
that.
can take
Okay.
it, so.
I think the intent, when Schumacher Taxi used to run that little Corolla FX16, we were buying 20 valves, and we were buying JDM motors from Canada. And it was saving us a ton of money, and they were hard to find. So it was the same motor that you could buy here. So that was, I think the intent is to allow that to happen,
Save
not to
money.
really, not to game the rules to get more horsepower. So as long as you're within the,
Yeah, the
spec.
3%, yeah, it works.
It doesn't matter that JDM motor, just your example, you had 4 throttle bodies on that motor, did you not?
I don't even remember.
Yes.
I believe so, and it was screaming.
It was awesome. It was glorious. I loved it.
Glorious.
That work when we take an engine out of the car with 1 throttle body and replace it with a JDM motor with 4.
The rule book is written, and this was added last year. This particular petition was not about adding JDM motors. It was about clarifying how they're handled, swap versus replacement. And we're saying they're not swap motors, they're replacement motors as long as you're within 3%. The rule book goes on to state that the motor has to be mechanically identical, essentially. So a single overhead cam for a single overhead cam, 4 pistons for 4 pistons, displacement for displacement. We understand that the cam profiles could be different, that the ports and the head of the intake could be different, but so long as by and large, mechanically they're identical and within 3% of power, we're going to call that a replacement motor.
The other stuff takes points, right?
I say we are talking about replacement
Yes.
versus swap.
Correct.
2 different things.
Yes.
Yes.
If the motor fell outside of 3%, it was 4% or 10% more power, that's a swap motor.
Yeah.
And you can't use the JDM as a swap motor, you can only use it as a replacement for your OEM motor.
Well,
The way the rule book is written
Or
currently,
swap anyway.
it says that you have to use the swap formula for this. It's kind of convoluted. But
Right,
this-
and that's
this
what your
should
petition
clarify.
was about. And that's what this is clarifying, is like, look, you don't use swap formula if you're within 3%, it's just replacing motor.
Exactly.
So we're gonna correct the terminology.
So Jerry's example, the 20 valve 4A GE, if they only use the bottom part of the engine, it would be legal as just a straight over.
Yeah.
But when you add the head and the intake, that would be a swap.
yeah, we would have been a swap because that motor didn't come in that
No.
year of that
Never
car.
Or you take the head, you just take the head swap on the 100 points as well, so.
See, this
would be a
this
lot.
right here, this is just an example of why swaps just suck.
No way, they're awesome.
This is what happens at all of our meetings, constantly. All right,
Next.
who
Go
wants
ahead.
to
Speak
do
up,
more
Rich.
stuff?
All right, I'll even take the next one, so.
Go ahead.
All right, this is stating that suspension bushings, no matter the offset, can be replaced if they're in the stock location. We said no to this. Essentially, if you use a offset bushing, you're increasing caster or camber, one of the two. We just don't want to get any more free parts. As long as it's stock hole, stock everything, you're good, but no offset bushings. So
Let's do some more of these.
skid plate, I mean, we just said no. I mean, you can use repurposed parts to be able to do this. We still want to give away free parts. And then also, how do you define a skid plate versus a splitter? So essentially, you can't really define that. So we just said no to this one. So.
Yeah, we didn't choose your swap.
Don't. No,
Sorry, BMW
no.
M50 swappers.
All right.
So this one is talked about. This is clarifying all the chassis and models. So what is this one?
Petition
This was like a
14.
3-page petition.
Well written.
Did you write it, Rich?
No.
No, Chris. No, Chris wrote it.
Hey, the longer the petition gets, the shorter my attention span gets. I like ones that are like one sentence. I can really make a decision.
Well, sorry, Chris, but there's no solution provided on this thing, and so we said no to this. And this is essentially, I think, clarifying it's essentially the differential rule.
Yeah.
And so,
Actually, specifically, what you said is, I do not feel prepared to define specific wording. So, because we got to that point,
Wrote just to put in your attention.
yeah.
yeah.
I figured it would be a no. I voted no against a lot of the ones I wrote.
I wouldn't approve that. I just wrote it to
I
give
hate
it direction. So,
I wanted you to read it.
Yeah.
Just messing with you.
Make sure we meet, right?
So, and I know Jay and Ray have this kind of under wraps. I think they're doing a good job in tech and understanding what gear ratio and stuff is being used. And
There's been a lot of confusion about that, so hopefully.
right a rule. I mean,
Yeah, take them little bites at a time, as opposed to all cars in the whole book at one time. You know, let's address this part of confusion, and we can handle that. Little baby steps, you know.
The one thing I would add to that, though, is if you do approve a rule, just remember these guys have to enforce it. And it has to be something that's, you know, if you want to completely tear an engine apart, you want to sit there and tear a rear end apart.
we did tear a rear end apart last year, Sebring. We did do that, and it took us, what, 25 minutes? It was pretty quick to do, so, I mean.
It comes up with every proposal is, can we enforce it?
Can we enforce it?
And that's
part of the
yeah.
part of the problem with the headlight rules is, can we enforce the rules? And so we do look at that, because we don't want to put these guys in a bad spot where they're
there's
supposed
no
to
point in
enforce something that's
making rules.
And then we don't want to be at the track till 2 or 3 in the morning, so.
no,
Heck
not
no.
unless we're racing.
Only if it's a 24-hour race,
We're at
right?
5 in the morning, we're there. We're cleaning up and leaving at 1. It's jeez. Anyway, all right. Petition 15 to clean up the VPI list errors. Board votes no, but we're saying yes because this doesn't need to come to us to vote on. You know, we call it clerical errors. If a car is listed that didn't exist in that year, or that model wasn't sold in the U.S., obviously we don't need to discuss it and say, do we want to eliminate it or not? It's wrong. We'll just clean it up. So these can come into us and as an email, and we'll fix that as the year goes on. So as petition goes, it's no, but we definitely are going to clean these things up. And if you find more of them that's just more than what was in this petition, just email myself or tech or anybody at any time. We'll take care of it.
And with all the VPI stuff, the TAC's actually looking at that. So we have an annual VPI update on adjustments on values. So that'll be all coming out in the new rule book in 2020. So that's all being handled by the TAC and the board. And that's why you don't see any of these on the petition list. So, but thanks for bringing it to our attention, Chris.
Chris.
Next.
I'm not doing this one.
Who wants to do? Fine. 16. Fixed point value for heads, valve training cams. No, but we agree with clarifying. It's just some of the numbers that were suggested, we didn't like the numbers. So it's kind of what's happened as the years go on and the club matures is early on there was, some of you may remember the old free the Lexan stuff on the forum. It was sort of funny, but some people were very serious about it.
AIV sucks.
Yeah, AIV sucks. SUX. It was. Those were the arguments, and we've moved through those, and we've been improving every year. There's little polishes to the rule book, and there's been improvements as we've added staff members and we've improved training. So things have gotten better. So now we're getting deeper and deeper in the weeds on stuff. And lately, some people have asked questions about, if a camshaft is 50 points, what does it come with? And does it come with my retainers and my locks and my, my beehive springs? And really, so. I agree. We all agree.
Yeah.
We need to find. If someone's going to have the question and someone actually wants to spend points on these types of things, we're going to come up with the numbers. We're going to put it in the rule book. This is how rule books get longer, by the way. And so they now have in front of them, black and white. They can decide, do I want to spend 85 points on beehive springs? Mm-hmm. That's not what they're going to be, by the way. But anyway, it's there. That's what this petition was for. We didn't like the numbers, but we are going to put those things in the rule book.
And this is clarifying, when you do a head swap, what does it come with? Does it come with the camshaft? Does it come with whatever? What do you have to take the points for? So and even the TAC agreed, hey, we need to clarify some things in here. Let's figure it out during the summer and put it in the rule book. So you'll see a cleanup in the rule book in 2020 on these items. So drive shafts, decrease in the value on this. We agreed yes on that. We agreed that those need to be decreased as well. So really no comments to that one. So
drive shafts, yes.
Yep, there we go.
All right, if you see here that we skipped 18 through 20 because those were car values, VPI.
Yep.
And as I said, we've tabled those and we'll address those during the summer. So moving on to 21. This dealt with the note at the top of the VPI charts. It says that automatics, you get the deduction, that turbos are plus 100, and that this doesn't include special models. Petitions said that there's not in the BCCR, but that it doesn't need to be necessarily at the top of the page because some of those things, like the turbos, are in the BCCR. So they're asking basically to not be redundant. Am I correct? You want to reduce the redundancy?
No, I'm saying that those rules that are on the VPI table list aren't necessarily in the
Okay.
BCCR. Like the minus 75 for automatics needs to be in that fixed VPI like checklist or on the tech sheet. You know?
Okay. So we agree with that. And so as you'll see, we said we're going to put everything that's on the chart into the BCCR. It says no because I thought part of it was to remove or an option remove, but we agree that we are going to put, they're going to match now, the two of them.
Part of that is like if you have a turbo car, it says there on the note at the top. Is that value accounted for already in the list, or is it not? So like, say a turbo MR2, do you add 100 to the turbo MR2 value, or is the turbo MR2 value already plus 100?
It does say in the VPI list unless otherwise listed as such, and so we do say turbo MR2, and so that would disqualify for number 2. But we agree that we are going to put the chart numbers or points into the BCCR so that they're in two places and do that.
Redundant and matches.
Yeah, thought.
No, I'm
Okay.
good. Yeah,
Yep,
no, go
that's
ahead.
good.
Definition of automatic transmission. So we voted no on this because there was no solution, I guess. There's no rule written. We are going to implement something within the 2020 rule book to define what an automatic transmission is. And it's going to have the wording about torque converter. I know Ed, we talked about this as well. So we are going to put this into the rule book. There's just no proposed solution on this, Chris. So that's why we said no. But we agreed as a board that we need to define what an automatic transmission is, and it's going to deal with the torque converter. So that will go into the 2020 rule book. It's just we're going to formulate the rule ourselves. So
Guys, real quick,
go ahead.
the drive shaft part.
Yes.
A member asked, what will the drive shaft value go down to?
We approved the rule.
It's
Rules
how
said
it's
said 20
stated.
points.
So from 50 to 20, I believe.
It is.
49 points.
Yeah.
No,
Give me a break.
we approved the petition, so it's
approved the
as,
petition, so it's
as
as
written, 20 points. Yeah,
So there's 20 points?
yeah.
Well, I'm checking real quick, Bill.
You're welcome, drive shaft people.
That's the oddest thing ever.
No carbon fiber. Yeah, I don't know. However it's written, Bill. So. So we skipped a couple because there was VPI 23 through 29 or VPI issues. So then 30. You want to talk to this one, Mike? I mean,
Yeah.
The most fun one.
this is a
You
good
said
one.
yeah, Doc.
No, yeah, Mike, take it.
30 of them.
I'll take it if you
So-
want.
He's the one writing it.
Yeah.
The petition was they wanted more prizes.
For fourth and fifth place because they're going to impound.
It specifically was, credits for fourth and fifth place, and that's what the petition was written for. And the board says yes. So, but we're going beyond that. With all the stuff going on and trying to track our financials, honestly, I didn't pay attention and noticed that race fees had gone up and our expenses gone up, and we hadn't dealt with what we pay out. And we looked at it and like, oh, how did that happen? So we are raising up all of the credits. So it's not just we're going to pay down fourth and fifth, but first through fifth, the numbers are going up. So whereas I think 800 this weekend, I think we pay 800 or 1,000 for the winner. In 2020, that's going to go up to be something more like $1,200 to $1,400. Try basically first place should be close to, if not actually, the value of the race you paid for. We're not going to give out trophies for fourth and fifth. You're still going to get the medal trophies for first, second, and third only. But fourth and fifth in impound, before the trouble of having to go there, jack the wheels up, and let Jay and Ray yell at them, they're going to get credits that they can spend on another event. So this, and it's also, we're going to bring up the catastrophic credit. That's 200 now. We're going to raise that up to something like 300. But basically, more credit back to the racers. So we did more than what the petition written for here. Definitely yes.
But a big part of the petition too addressed the facts that fourth and fifth place is like really truly first and second loser. Not only did you not get a trophy or any credit, but you still got to go to impound and jack your car up. When everybody would really like just pack up and go home. I mean, I've been on teams that were in fifth place debating whether we should drop back and fall into sixth, just so we can get the hell out faster, because we're not going to get anything in fifth place anyway. And so at least this way, if
At
you
least
got
we'll cover a couple of 6-packs of beer.
right, if you got to go to tech, at least you get something for your efforts. So
Impound.
Yeah, impound. I mean, post-race tech. Yeah. So.
So we like that one.
Empty pit box during race, petition 31. So essentially, this is stating that if you have an empty pit, you have to have one person in your pit box at all times during the race. We just said no. This is essentially a kind of common, unenforceable rule. I mean, if you don't have anyone in your pit box, you're getting black flagged. I think that's enough penalty anyway. So, I mean, so this is just kind of, we don't want to enforce a rule to have someone in their pit box. So we just said no on this one. So.
It's a good idea, but we're not gonna make a rule about it.
32 we kind of already covered. I mean, headlights are in inclement weather. We voted no on this. So this was requiring actually having to have a headlight on during inclement weather. So essentially, we are not approving this. It's kind of another unenforceable rule. You don't know when there's unpredictable weather. We don't want to make sure that everyone has to have a headlight on at all times and stuff like that. So in my opinion, my comment was this is a kind of a team owner situation. If you see rain coming up, put a headlight on.
Well, it increases the cost to all the racers that are running day races. Now you got to retrofit your car with headlights.
The big thing we discussed was some teams show up with no headlights at all for
Right.
for a daytime race.
Yeah, they're running double
Running
sevens.
double sevens. I don't need a headlight. Well, then it rains.
Your lights on it for a prolonged period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then who decides how bad is bad enough that you have to have headlights on? Now you've got a subjective ruling on whether it's raining hard enough. So
Although we agree it's a good idea, though.
I don't think so.
You don't?
Nope.
I do.
No.
Well,
Y'all fight it out.
Right, I mean, I think it's safer. People can see.
next. All right.
I think this one was to have non-adjustable. Let's see here. Sorry.
Changing how we value all the shocks.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is another one of the petitions that listed four options. Again, when there's 4 options, even if we loved one of them, we're going to say no because, well, which one did you want? We can't implement all 4 of them. But it just so happens that we didn't actually like any of the options, and so this is just no. Our shock setup has been as it is for a while, and by and large, I think it works pretty well.
So Mike, one of the questions from the internet is, are we mandating rain lights?
No.
We've got denied, petition denied.
So there you go.
He's asking about the back, the flashy.
Still no. I mean that was included in that one as well.
In a
So.
petition, I don't think.
It's in the rule book right now that you're allowed to run them. So if you have them, go ahead, turn them on when it rains. If I had a race car, I probably would because I've watched Watkins Glen last year, and you come into one down the hill and all the mist from 6 cars wide, you can't see anything except for the one flashing rain light on the Bimmerline car. I knew there was one car there. I don't know the rest of them were. So I'd do it on my car, but it's not mandatory.
If you want to purchase rain lights, they can be purchased at Lifeline.
Actually, we're giving away this weekend, so.
They're a sponsor of the series.
And Discovery Parts does some things.
They do, yes. All right.
Ron will be here this
All right, this one, petition 34, black flag during non-green flag conditions. So, a couple, I don't know if it was at least half of the board members initially said, yeah, that sounds a good idea to me. And then I talked to them about what it is from the steward's perspective. And, Dana, one of my directors, he wrote comments in all these emails. And he was very vocal about this. Mike Morris, another one he did. And I still sit up in the tower as I will tomorrow and do this. Here's the deal. The 3 of us are intelligent enough to know how racing works. And that if you serve a black flag under a caution, there is a small advantage to that. So we are not going to black flag you under yellow to bring you in. What happens during a yellow flag is all calls are held, and we're trying to clean up the guy who decided to put his wall in the side of a bridge or lay his crankshaft all over the back straightaway. That's the focus of the moment. And so corner workers are known to hold calls. And we're going through and doing our stuff. Once everything's cleaned up, control will get back to corner and says, all right, do I have any held calls? They say, yeah, all this stuff happened. Pass under yellow, this guy bumped this guy, so on and so forth. All right, we're back under green. Let's get my first car up on the number board. I need car 63. Black flag, we call it down to our pit-in guys, say, here's a car coming, this is what they did, this is the time penalty. And that's the way it's ideally should work. However, so in the middle of going through these 5 cars, because we'll give them a list of 5 guys that are coming in. Car number 3 is on track, sees the green, they hit pit in, and as they're coming down the track, someone else does something stupid, and a caution flag comes out, and we send the pace car out. They have already hit pit in. We are not going to send them back on track and say, sorry, there's a caution, go back out, we'll get you the next green flag, because stuff just keeps happening and building up all day long. Plus, how angry are you that you just pulled out of line, gave up your position, and you're there to serve a penalty you're already angry about, probably going to deny anyway, and now I'm going to tell you, double jeopardy, you're going to have to go back out and come back a second time. You're going to go ballistic. So we're not going to do this. It's just part of racing. Sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes you're not. And we've all agreed that part of racing strategy is luck. There's cars, there's drivers, reliability, but luck is part of racing. So the stewards will continue to do the job the best way possible, but sometimes someone's going to get lucky. It's what it is.
I think we mentioned that we're going to put this in the
always.
operation. We're going to actually put this in the operation manual, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this actually is covered in our operations manual, so our stewards understand
Tells us how
when
to
they
run
can
race.
black flag somebody.
And that's only under green.
Yeah. So. All right.
This was requesting the swap cost to go from $1,500 to $2,500. So we all agreed that we need to account for some sort of inflation. So we agreed yes. Did we come to a value as submitted, right?
As submitted.
So,
we did, yeah.
Yep.
so we're going to increase the maximum swap cost so you can spend an extra $1,000 going into 2020. So your maximum swap cost will go from $1,500 to $2,500. So,
Yeah, the whole point of the rule was to make sure that there wasn't a $20,000 swap out there that no one could afford to do, but would give somebody a big advantage. Yeah, and the $1,500 was just kind of an arbitrary limit that was set. But there's been cases like, for example, on Swap Miatas, I have one with an Ecotech swap in it. The swap kit went from $950 to $1,150, thereby grandfathering in the teams that did it previously under $950, and the new teams that want to try it can't afford it all of a sudden because it's now $1,150. We didn't want that to create different classes of,
yeah, and the speed really comes from the swap calculator. So you're not going to have a big horsepower car because that's already regulated by the swap calculator and how that's formulated. So
yeah, the power and all that is unaffected, but because of inflation and an increase in the costs, new teams that want to do the swap that's already legal and on track can't do it. So doing a slight increase for inflation made sense.
You're doing great.
Petition 36 was the changing the way the national championship qualification is done. Currently, it's 2 races, which you could get in one weekend. And there was plenty of ideas beyond just the one that was submitted as a petition. Some people had suggested that it should be something like 12 races to qualify, and you get points for finishing, points for starting, points for all sorts of stuff. That's a bit complicated. But what we are going to do is we are increasing the number of races to qualify. More than 2, less than 20. Probably, if I'm going to guess, we're going to wind up in the range of 4, give or take. We don't want a flash in the pan to take up a spot that somebody else, may have earned during the year. But we also don't want you to have to spend a lot of money and run a lot of races just to have a chance to qualify. And since our average member runs about 2 events a year, that means that depending on the races you choose, 3 to 5 races would be equivalent of 2 weekend trips, and you would be able to qualify for the national championship. So the way this one was written actually had specific number of races, and we didn't agree with the number of races. However, we agreed in changing the revision. That's why it says no, but we are going to up the number to qualify.
well, and this one is stating that we go from a points to a winner-take-all national championship as well.
That was the other thing. It was
So-
a 2-part petition.
I think we all kind of agreed that it's kind of whatever the members. Whatever the members want. If we want a winner-take-all, then we're open to that.
Yeah, that's the other part.
So we're still. I think we're still
We need
kind of
feedback.
discussing that.
We'd like some feedback on the other part of the petition. Was this weekend, those of you who are qualified, your previous race points are coming into this, and they factor into the final total. The second part of the suggestion was to drop that. If once you're qualified, everybody's on equal footing, and it's winner take all. This is your club and
Don't like
your
that?
competition. If you guys like that better, let us know, and we'll talk about it this summer.
So the thought on
Be
that
a lot
was,
easier up in ChampCar Live to call.
well, and the thing about that is that of the 75 people qualified, we have 25 here this weekend. If 75 were qualified, will we sell out the whole race with 75 contenders if it's a winner take all? Next year we have Sonoma, a West Coast track. If you have 75 people qualified and it's winner take all, we're going to get 50 contenders out there, or what's going to happen? So that's kind of where, in my opinion, I agree with the winner take all, but I'm just one vote. So because it's going to increase your national championship registration, yeah, the draws.
Your potential to draw people to other races before the championship. In the past, I've heard of teams that intentionally raced an extra weekend they wouldn't have run in order to improve potentially their point standings for the championship.
Right.
Even potentially made a long tow to do so.
Yeah, so
I
essentially,
know my team has looked at that in
Yeah.
the past ourselves. Find a weak field and go race a weak field. I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
Cherry
seriously.
Come west.
wow.
I hear Thunder Hill's looking.
Come west.
I know it would be tough to implement, but have you thought about giving more points for a 5th place at the 24-hour race as opposed to a 5th place at a 7-hour
That
race?
could get complicated.
That's one of the things we have talked about.
Write the equation.
Yeah, there you go.
That's one of the problems with that.
Exactly. So.
All right.
Based on
All right.
the cars you beat, you know.
I mean, there's definitely some things to look at.
There's
with
so
that,
many
yeah.
things to juggle
It's much
there.
harder
If you
to
beat
win a
99
24-hour
cars,
race.
99 points. If you beat 20 cars, you only get 20 points.
I'm sure we're going to get some emails soon. All right, 37 is the opposite of what petition 3 was, so we said no to that.
We need to pick up the pace a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. 30 minutes left, and we've still got half of them to do.
Petitions.
This was a petition. 38 was petition to alter the VPIs for better competition. They basically wanted all cars except for Miatas and BMWs to be lowered and leave the Miatas and BMWs where they are, because they said that, oh, the winners are BMWs and Miatas. As you can see here, the last 6 races we've had a variety of cars, so that's a no. Petition 39, logbooks open to teams all throughout the race. No. Can you imagine I come down to your pits with 2 hours to go and there's potential problems with the car and you're trying to nurse a lead, and I was like, hey, I need your logbook, and you're like, no, not now. I'm like, you better give me the logbook or you're disqualified because the rule book says you got to give it to this team right here. We're not going to do that. Logbooks are open at the end of the race when the stress is down.
At impound.
During the race, your focus is your day, your event, whether it's fun time or it's serious, let's go all out, win the race time. So we're not going to do this. You want to cover any of these? No. Nobody wants to talk.
So this was, the next one was minimizing the VPI changes at 10% from year to year. I think as a board we can choose, and tech can choose how the VPIs are adjusted every year. So we said no, we don't want to put a hamstring on how VPIs are adjusted and a percentage on there. So we just voted no on that one. So
We try not to, but we have to be careful when it comes to rules. It sounds great, but all of a sudden one day there's a big problem and you want to address it. Logically, simply, 7 of us agree, fix it. Oh wait, the rule book says we can't, and then it just makes more problems. So we're just keeping our ability to fix and do our job open here.
Yeah, if someone finds a unicorn, they can drive out everybody else over the next 5 years by running the unicorn. So, petition 41, VPI swap. Again, we went back and used petition number 3. So we voted no on this one. I'll just skip ahead then. Fender flares was.
You get that one.
Yeah, yeah, fender flares. I actually was a real jackass during the board meeting.
Oh, you were fine,
about
Jerry.
fender flares. Look, if it's safety, then why are we charging for it? If it's not safety, then why are we requiring it? And so it's a little bit of both, and I recognize that, but it's all been, well, it's safety, we have to do it. Well, if it's safety, then you shouldn't charge for it. It's been a real issue because I think, and I witnessed it firsthand, Tech did a great job at Road America. They've been doing a great job of making sure that cars are still safe, or as safe as possible, with flares, because there are teams that just bent the metal straight out. There you go. Or they added a lip straight out with a jagged edge on it. They had taken a cutting wheel too. You know, they made them put tape on it or what have you and try to make it safe. I personally, I was the only one on the board that said, look, make them free, because it's not really a big performance advantage. It looks like crap in a lot of cases. You can buy these ones on Amazon for $20. But the rest of the board disagreed. So, and I got kind of nasty about it, but anyway.
You were hungry. You hadn't had dinner yet.
Yeah.
I wasn't on the call, or I'd have been there with you.
You would have been
No,
on my side
seriously.
too.
Yeah.
I thought it was dumb. You know.
Well, and then the other thing is you don't have to use flares. You can go back to 205 size tires and put them
Yep.
under your stock fenders. So
You can roll your fenders with a baseball bat. You can step them off. Some of you guys have pulled the fenders out with offset, mounts and things. There's options there.
There
We
are
did it
options,
all.
but I wanted the car safer and look decent. Something that Mike never cared about. But
Drastically since we've done this.
what's that?
The appearance of cars has gone downhill rapidly since.
I don't think. I mean,
you have a short memory.
I
If you
agree.
saw the cars back in 2010,
They were looking better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. So anyway, we voted no on it as a club. I'm on record as voting they should be free. But anyway,
easy one for you.
yeah.
oil accumulators. There's a large camp that wants.
I think we get a petition on this every year.
Every
Yeah,
year.
It's gonna keep coming.
We'll continue to get them.
Yeah.
At least change the date on it.
There's actually a fairly large group that wants, things that allow your car to run better, longer, to be free. That would include oil accumulators, and we'll get to more of these. Oil accumulators, double core, triple core radiators. What's that?
You can actually do it all. Since there was a couple the same, you can just say that there's no on all of those. So.
Yeah, we said no on all of them. While there's a large contingency that thinks we should allow that, there's an even larger contingency that says no.
We allow it, you have to take points.
Yeah.
This would
Yeah.
be to do
Yeah,
it free.
and running on a track.
Reliability is performance.
It is performance if you can run longer. Harder. I think there's the argument for is that people would say, well, I show up with my race team. It'd be nice if we ran all day without breaking down. And as Tiffany pointed out, you can still add those things to your car. You just have to take points for them. So do you want your car to run or not?
A lot of people asking for these are the people who are swap. So leave enough in your swap formula to add one on for 10 points. So
It's 10 points.
Yep.
We
Yeah.
reduced it last year, I think.
You know.
So we, as a board, we universally said no because that's where the majority of the people are. No more free stuff, and so that's what we're doing.
Yep.
Petition 44 is interesting. That's the limit fuel to 94 octane. I think as a board, we largely agree. Not all of us, but I think the majority of the board agrees that we would like to do this. The problem is, how do you test it? If someone could show us a way that's affordable and reliable on testing octane of fuel, we're all for it. I mean, if you're running 105 octane gas, you probably have cheaty parts in your motor. Sorry, them's the facts. Okay, and
where you live in California.
We get 91 octane.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to go to 94 would be easy then. I mean, you could buy race gas and mix.
Yeah.
But to get to 94.
I do.
But if you're running 105 octane gas, there's probably something going on that you don't want somebody to know about. And I think that the majority of the people, as you can see, 19 for, 4 against, the majority of the board kind of reflects that as well. But again, we just need a way to test it reliably, and it has to be somewhat affordable too. We can't be a $10,000 test, and we can't send the fuel out as a sample
And wait for
and
results.
wait for a week for a result. It has to be something we can do on site easily, and and safely too. And so,
Do it 80 times.
what's that?
Don't you have to do it a bunch of times at every race?
Well, as often as we decide, we may choose one to test, we may choose 20 to test.
It can be random.
Or if there's a petition and impound to test.
There could be a petition impound,
you
but
should test
that gas is
fine
gone.
anyway.
Get the 94 out. But if you walk up and down pit road, you can usually smell it. And if you smell it and you suspect someone's cheating, you can always mention it to an official. But there's no way to test for it. If we knew that, if we had a way to test for it, we could go down and just randomly select that team and take a look.
I suggested Bill just sniffs all the fuel at every race,
I'd
and
vote for Bill's nose.
I mean I think that's a good measure on everything. So
Isn't there a lick test?
Well, if you guys remember, the 400SX was running race fuel, and when asked why, they said we just like the smell. That was actually their response.
or they like to burn money.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anyway.
So anyway,
Next.
so again, if somebody has a suggestion, please bring it to the board. Petition 45 was headlight aiming.
is
Again,
aiming.
we already talked about that. That's a no-go because it's subjective and it's really hard to enforce. So we definitely voted no on that. Although, as we've discussed, the TAC is taking that up and seeing if there's some things we can do with headlights. Ultimately, I suspect not, but we'll see.
Jump to 50.
Petition 46, use OE instead of term stock.
So this is one that we actually define stock in the rule book, 4.5.7, I want to say. I don't know. So we're going to actually, we voted no on this because we like to, it's defined in the rule book. There's some places where we use OE and we use stock. We're going to go ahead and define OE and stock in the rule book. It's just how the rule book's worded in grammatically, how you use OE and stock. So we're going to actually define OE and stock in the rule book this year and just use them kind of universal. So.
Well, and the thing mentioned is, well, it's stock, maybe not to this car, but it's a stock part. Well, no, I mean, the whole point is it's stock to the car.
Yep.
You can't go in a junkyard and get a 5 Series part and put it on a 3 Series and call it stock.
And that goes back to TAC. Can TAC do, or not TAC? Tech, can Tech do their job? We have trust in Tech that they can, and you show up that argument, and Tech's gonna laugh. Well, that's a good one, Hoss, and no, you're gonna get points, so ain't gonna happen.
You gonna define stock replacement in that too?
So I think in the wording we state what stock is actually used in the whole rule book. So essentially in the rule book it says stock replacement. So stock would be, yes, this is what stock is, and replacement is the part on that. So I think it's already defined in the rule book.
Well, if it's not defined, it's not defined well enough, and we're just going to expand upon it and make sure that the word stock and OE understand that they're interchangeable, and this is the definition of them, and it's a long sentence, very Webster's dictionaries type, so that there is no loophole to the definition. That's
and we're adding it to the model of the car that you're racing.
Yes.
So.
Petition 48, raw swap calculator, we already covered. Petition 49, we already covered that as well. Petition 50, roll cage, pedal, box brace. We voted yes on this. This is to box in around where your feet are.
The passenger side.
And who knew that guy could have a good idea?
It's actually stated in the driver's side, but this is for the passenger side.
Oh, okay.
And taking the pedal box and actually being able to add a pedal box on the passenger side, because we have track days where passengers are allowed. So essentially, we're allowing to be able to box in the passenger side for 0 points. So
and we're not requiring it.
Right.
So, that was.
Is that considered a point of contact for your 8 points of contact if they do that?
Yeah. It doesn't count against it because it's a safety addition.
Yeah, so essentially, as the rule states, so you only get 2 forward points of contact. So the discussion in TAC was, well, what if you had 2 more points in the bottom end? Well, in the rules, it still says you can only have 2 points of forward contact. So we're essentially only allowing people to add the horizontal bar across. So. Correct. Yep.
All right, fueling with passenger side. For years, if you had your fuel cell on the passenger side, can't fuel with the driver in a car, it's a hazard, you had to get out. Recently this year, you have to have a bulkhead to seal off your fuel cells, no fuel components, and that goes for guys with a fuel cell on the passenger side. And the petition came up, and we all looked there and said, well, actually, that's sealed off what's behind you or next to you, so there's really no reason now to make it get out. And so we said, fine, if you have your fuel cell in the passenger floorboard and it passes tech because it's completely bulkheaded off and sealed off, the driver can be in the car while you're fueling it. So, the 52, safety, roll cage design clarification. The picture's outdated in the BCCR, and so the petition was asking to update it with our modern drawing and labeling and picture terms, and we're all for clarifying and updating, as we've seen throughout the rest of the petitions. That if we can make something clear, we're good for it. So we said yes to this. In addition to this, we're working with one of our members who is a video game designer by trade, and he offered to redesign our cage into a 3D model that you can click and drag and look all around. And he's just about done with that, and we're going to add that to the website here this summer, so that now people in the tech section could see an example of what the cage looks like, and you can click and drag it and have all your questions answered. So it's pretty cool looking. I've seen the prototype already.
Mike, we've actually added that as a test on the website, and we put it to the forum, and they've
pretty cool.
given us some really good feedback.
Awesome. So see, it's already up there for a beta test already. 53, again, swap question. We went with vote number 3.
Common swap, yeah.
And oil accumulators. Oh, that one. I didn't see the. I forget who wrote that.
I don't know.
No, I forget who wrote the. Dana wrote the. Yeah. All right, 54 accumulators, no. 55, non-podium tech inspection, no. There's no way at 11 o'clock at night, in the rain, in the cold, we've already got 5 cars plus EC to look at. We are not going to grab the 60th place car, and he's probably not even there, and if I told him to come to tech, he'd laugh at me. So that's a no.
So these next couple, 56 through 60, were written by petitioner. He just said that he wanted to give us some good ideas. He recused them all, so we did not discuss those in the meeting. So he just wanted to bring some stuff to our attention.
And we duly noted.
Yes.
And then ignored. Well, I mean, what can we do?
Composite hoods, we essentially said no. We're going to leave them at 25 points. So go ahead, Ray.
Composite, I mean, is it also aluminum?
No, this was for composite. So
The petition as written was for fiberglass and SMC. I think it's SMC, is that what it is?
We're just aftermarket hood with kind of one.
The compressed composite material stuff. It wasn't for aluminum.
fiberglass.
But if someone wanted to put an aluminum hood on instead of a steel one, that would fall under the metal materials. They would get hit for that.
Unless the car came with an aluminum hood.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, autos do, but
Yeah.
we're talking about certain high-dollar M3 parts.
63, VPI swap. Petitioner wanted to clarify 456, which has been a really annoying thing for a long time, the 456 rule. We talked about last year taking it out. It opened up Pandora's box, so we left it in there, as ugly as it is. Essentially what you're asking here is, what if I've got a little small car, the base model car, and I don't want to put in a big, huge engine that's higher than the best model of that car. I guess the example was, say I've got a BMW 318, and right now if you want to swap in an M50 into an E30 318, you have to start with the highest value, 450, plus the value of the swap is 50 points in your 500-point car. Doesn't matter if you start with 318 or 325. You're ending up with an M50 E30, and you're going to be 500 points. And this petitioner says, well, what if I want to put a motor that makes, say, 150 horsepower in there? So it's more than the 120 that the 318 made, but it's not as much as the 189 that the M50 makes. He wants to have something in the middle. So I'm not going to have to start at 450 points. And we talked about it. We started going one way, and we came back around and says, you know what? Swaps are complicated. They're a pain in our neck. And this is going to add a whole nother layer of complication. There's another formula issue. There's more rules for tech to follow, and people get confused by. And we said no. We just don't want the trouble. If you're going to go the trouble of spending money and swapping, go big or go home. Otherwise, leave the stock motor in there, put a header, a camshaft, ECU in it, and call it a day.
And we clarified all the highest trim models this past year as well. So that's all clarified in the swap calculator and stuff. So we are using 4.5.6 on every model that we have now in the series.
Yes,
so
it's automatic. You can't get around
so
it.
Essentially, the swap calculator is already doing that stuff for you. So if you want to swap, use the highest model.
That was part of some off-season stuff where people said we changed the value of cars, and we didn't. What we did is we automatically enforced Rule 456 online in the calculator. And so where they were not doing it properly before, they had no choice now. It was automatically done for them, and that freaked them out.
Hey, before we move on.
Yes, Bill.
Norman 9, I believe he's with one of the Mustang teams.
Crowd control, yep.
Yeah, he said 25 points is ridiculous value for the fiberglass or composite hoods. There was no points given beforehand, and it was sort of arbitrarily given.
So
he is truly misinformed. We've been charging, I'm writing on here back to him, 33 points to Camaro hoods for years, correct? You know, aftermarket hoods on Camaros, guys been paying up to 33 points. I had to pay 38 points for one on my car. You know, that's been going on for years. We've always charged for aftermarket parts.
And look, we're charging for fender flares. We're charging for anything you put on the car. 25 points is not unreasonable. You can skin your hood for free.
So
and
points reduction. It's good. It's a points reduction from 30
From what it
to
was,
25.
I think the petitioner wanted it down to something like 10.
Yeah, because he's saying splitter 10 points, big wing 10 points, diffuser 10 points, air dam 10 points, but hood's 25 points.
Ultimately, we just want less changes in your car. We're trying to raise stock cars here, and if you're gonna change something, you're gonna pay points for it, and there's really no good reason to change this fiberglass
and then
hood.
if you go down to fiberglass hood to 10 points, let's say, now people might want to show up with fiberglass fenders, fiberglass doors, fiberglass roof, and essentially you make a tube frame
Yeah.
car. So you start opening up Pandora's box. So essentially we want to still race stock cars, skin your doors, skin your trunks, skin your hoods. There's ways to do weight reduction for free already. So
Yeah.
that's where we're at, and as a board, I think I can probably state for everyone, we still want stock cars in the series. We don't want to go to tube frame fiberglass cars.
Paul Cruz states it should have some resemblance to performance gain.
Not everything in the rule book is directly correlated to performance gain. There are some things that the board decides we want to allow for 0 points, and there are some things that we want to discourage the use, and so we raise the points intentionally. It's the same way with cars. We had depressed the value of some cars lower than what on paper it should be valued at, and others we raise them up. The board looks at cars and parts, and we change numbers to try and discourage or encourage the use of cars or vehicles. That's part of our job, and it will continue.
Petition 65, essentially allowing Heim joints and adjustable links for free. No more free stuff. We want to keep, as the members say, don't change the rules. We don't want any more free stuff, so we said no on this one.
And the next one.
66,
And the one
control
after that.
arms. And essentially some of the stuff that we can do, you can do for free still. I mean, we allow cutting and welding and stuff like that, so there's stuff to get around this. So we said no on 66. 67, free coolers, we said no on. And then 69, allow electrical cutoff switch on driver's side. We said no. I mean, I know there's some other series out there that you have to have it on the driver's side. We mandate ours on the center console. There's nothing in the rules that say you can't have two different switches. So you can have one on the driver's side and on the center console, or on the center part of your car, as long as the center one works. That's the one we're testing here. If the other one works, that's fine. There's nothing in the rule books that says you can't do that.
The reason is, and I
We're
tell
not
people when we're in the
mandating
tech
it.
line and the son of the meeting, when I argue about it. When we meet with Trax EMS crews, they'll come and say, all right, so all your cars have tow hooks. Yes, front and back. Where do we find the kill switches on the cars? And so we'll tell them, our kill switches are on the center console stack. They got it. So when they're in an accident, we go red flag, their ambulance and fire trucks run into an incident, there's some fire under the car, driver's unconscious. That has happened here at Charlotte a long time ago. They need to know where to shut the power off so they don't have an explosion or a big burn. And we can't say, well, some cars have them on the driver's side, some cars have them here. It doesn't work. We decided a long time ago, it's center stack. That's what we tell our safety crews. That's what's going to stay. You can add anything else you want, but the center stack is still going to still be our standard. All right, we got through with 13 minutes to spare. Any other questions people have about rules, about the club, about today's events?
Besides Chris.
The guy who wrote half the book has a question. All right, what you got, Chris?
You know what I'm gonna ask?
No, what you got?
Can you make some comments regarding the changes to the error rules that were implemented post when the petition deadline was, but haven't been publicly announced to this point?
So, there's no changes to it. What you're referring to is clarification, because I understand that in the book it doesn't state what you were told. However, that is what they were trained to do last summer. So, the question is about error rules. What is a splitter? What is an air dam? In the past, guys muddied the waters and blurred it. So we decided last year when we wrote the rule book, Tech came to my house and we went over the rules and we decided on some things, and he said, look, a splitter is a horizontal device. Doesn't matter how big, it could be a huge snow shovel, a little tiny thing. A horizontal device is a splitter. A vertical device is an air dam. It could be a little tiny strip at the bottom. It can cover the entire nose of the front of the car. That is an air dam. Those are two separate items. People argue and they say, and this is not just you, I've had other emails, so it's not just you. They say, well, a splitter's work without an air dam, or an air dam's work without a splitter. And technically that's not true. Is it more effective together? Yes. But you can use one or the other. And so we're going to put that in there in the rule book after the 10, 10, 10, 10 points for splitters, spoilers, air dams, that kind of stuff. A little note that says splitters are horizontal, air dams are vertical. And so now everybody understands that when they build their car and they're proud of it, that's going to cost something. We can't. Picture too. We can't say, well, Tech will just use their best judgment on it, because what we had is cars would show up with a little bit of an air dam. Okay. And another car behind them has this massive piece of plastic that wraps around the fenders over the front tires. And they say, well, this is my air dam. I'm like, that's not an air dam. This is an air dam. And so there's no clarification, there's no guidance, and that's why Tech says, look, that's it. Verticals, air dam, horizontal splitter. We have to make things black and white because people will stretch the rules to the limit and beyond. I don't fault you guys for it. It's a cat and mouse game. I don't mind being the cat and trying to find you guys, but don't get uptight when you get caught. Just say, okay, it is the rule, and move on. So that's why
And it was in the rule book, Chris. In the rule book, it says in 2018 that there was splitters, wings, and stuff. We actually added air dam for the 2019 rules. If you actually go back to the 2018 versus 2019, so
It's not defined. And
okay.
I define my device as a splitter. I identify as a splitter.
Right. I know. I get it.
Right.
But ultimately,
so yeah, mine too. Everything's attached to the splitter with the 10-foot air dam.
impossible. It is. It's impossible. It's impossible to define every single thing that you could possibly think of, or he could think of, or she could think of,
But you know,
and
this
so
is a specific
it gets
instance
this.
where you changed your interpretation, and that's why I'm saying you gotta tell us.
What?
Would it be good to define with an image what he's, this point and arrow, this is a splitter?
We can add all that stuff in there, but the thing is, next year something else will pop up that Tech was doing it one way, and they've been doing it for 18 months or for 24 months, and someone was caught off guard, not Chris, but somebody else, and they want to argue, and they say it wasn't clear in the rules. I've had heated arguments about adjustable shocks in Tech with people before, and they say it's not clear to define. Part of that in racing is, if something is not ironclad lawyer written out, that someone's going to take every liberty they can, and then argue it to the end of time, that my interpretation is correct, not the series. Ultimately, somebody has to have control of what the interpretation is. Somebody is in charge. Someone runs this thing, and that is the sanctioning body. And in the case of Tech has it, and it actually says in the beginning of the book that Tech has the final say. So whenever there's something like that comes up, that day sucks. Tech gets the final call. Take the points. After that, I agree. If there's been an issue with clarification, then let's see if we can add it to the book, another line, another sentence, and how nobody else is going to trip on that little bump in the road later. The book will get bigger every year. It gets more clarified, and it's going to take time. We can't get it all in 1 year. So I agree we're going to clarify it, but also understand that Tech has the final say when there's something's in a gray area.
So air dam, vertical, splitter, horizontal.
Correct.
All right, 10 points each.
Well, the other thing that happened last year too is that the TAC was new and it had very little time to get through everything.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we rushed it.
Week,
Yeah.
like a
I
week
mean,
or
it
something.
was unbelievable, the demands on
6 weeks?
and then the board, of course, had to go through all the recommendations in a short period of time too. Things will be a lot easier moving forward because we've got more time to work these issues out before we get there. I'm not talking about the splitter versus the air dam, but I'm talking about interpretations of rules and I mean, we went one way on repurpose and then changed it back the other way. That's where thing will get ironed out ahead of time and give people more notice in the future. So we apologize for that, but it was a new thing last year to have the TAC, and it was a very compressed amount of time to get through everything.
To that point you just mentioned, we have a member that emailed me this week, and his petition, he submitted it last year before our last board meeting, a little late, and I said, you missed the cutoff, we'll do it next year. And it's my fault, it got lost and didn't get included in this year. And so he emailed me this week, he's like, did I get missed again? So his petition was to clarify what you can do with a car as far as what is hand tools, what is store-bought. It's basically, it sort of ties into repurposing, but it's also just, am I allowed to polish my intake manifold, port match my gaskets? I mean, anything. He just wants us to define what is free with hand tools and what it's not. And so we have not talked about that. This is the first the board has heard of this. I got the email yesterday. So we will talk about that, and it will be settled and added to the 2020 BCR. I apologize to him for missing him for 18 months.
All right.
He's a very patient member.
We got a couple of questions on the internet.
Yes.
All right, so Paul Cruz asked, what
I see that.
do they think about rules proposed specifically by Tech being part of the petition review next year for all members? And I believe that's non-safety related.
Petition.
What he's
So
saying
essentially,
is
he
rule changes that didn't come from members.
yeah. So Tech.
Oh.
So essentially, Tech can make rule changes, suggestions to us, and we'll implement those in the fall.
As
And
a
so
board,
he's
we
just-
listen to multiple people. We listen to the members. That's today. That's petitions, and we listen to the advisory committee because they work for us, and they may have some ideas on their own. We also listen to our tech guys and our
Staff,
event
yeah.
directors because their boots on the ground in the field, seeing and dealing with stuff. So all of them input stuff, and we can implement an idea any of them have. We also can have our own idea separate from what anybody else has heard, and we can implement as well. That is a job description of the board of directors. It's one of the things we mentioned earlier that is what we handle. And so we have made changes to the rules in the past that were not submitted by a member or the TAC, and we will continue to do that because that's what we do.
Yeah, and really read the bylaws if you guys haven't, for what the board of directors can and cannot do. I mean, that's really what we can and cannot do as a club. So if you haven't taken time, it's a pretty dry read, but read the bylaws on the read the bylaws on the website, and that'll explain kind of when the board meets, how often they can meet, what's a quorum, how special meetings are done, stuff like that. So I would rarely recommend members to read the bylaws.
We're still a republic, not a democracy.
Correct.
Can the TAC BOD start using the online section of the forum to disseminate info to the club?
That is something we would like to do. We're trying to get that Kickstarter. It's like trying to fire a rocket booster. It's to keep sputtering. Jay, he seems to like his cell phone. Do you like the forum? Are you on the forum much? Okay.
He's my forum guy.
Okay.
He relays all the bad stuff.
They have a section
every day.
that is just for them. No one can post on it, not even like me. We can't access it. It's just Jay, I guess Jay and Ray. Oh, just Jay. Okay.
Just Jay, Bill, and I can access that because Bill and I are the admins. So
we want them to post technical clarification. So, like today, if we're just sitting here and we said, look, splitter 10 points, air dam horse as vertical, that's 10 points. That's something that they can go in there and they can post it. And a member can start a topic in another section about it, but they can't reply to that one. That is just an official technical update or clarification section, and we'll continue to work on our application of that this year.
So Matt T says that some of the rules that have been posted to the forum, rules or interpretations, is where there's been most controversy.
Yeah. Now, so I'll say my favorite thing here. The forum is equivalent to your favorite rowdy local bar. Nobody goes to a bar, sits down, and orders 16 beers, and says, frickin' President of the United States isn't doing my suggestion. They need to do what I say, and we're going to fix the world today. They just sit there to rant and have drink. So the forum is a place to go and kind of fellowship with your fellow members and share your car builds and share your complaints about a particular rule interpretation and so on and so forth. But I don't read the forum at all. I'm not on the forum. I have too much else going on. Most of these guys aren't as well. I know Tyler's on it quite a bit, but by and large, we're not on it. So if you go on the forum and looking for an answer or complain to get something changed, nothing's going to happen. If you really want a clarification, you need to email Tech directly or email myself, because I said I'm one of the 3 full-timers. I'm always in front of the computer working, and we'll get you an answer straight from the horse's mouth. Or you have a suggestion, there's a problem, you come to me and say, this is not right in the rule book, or this is not right in the value book or something. That's how it gets addressed. If you go to the forum, you're basically just there for a beer.
You're howling
and a
at
good time.
yeah. Pissing in the wind.
And Tyler and I do go out quite a bit and try to disseminate information where we can. You know, I don't always have time to go to the forum, so there's a lot of threads out there I haven't read. But if I read something and I have information, I'll try to get it to you guys. And Tyler does the same thing.
The suggestion I would make to you is that if one of the board members or one of the TAC members is responding to something on tech, you're responding as a member, not in an official capacity.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we made sure that everything on the forum, I think a lot of our TAC members do state that this is me as a member, and this is my suggestion as a TAC. So everything on the forum is nothing on the forum is official.
If you want an official answer, you have to email
the
us.
forum's just for your all's amusement, really. I mean.
So I think in that regard, the BOD portion of the forum ought to be moved to a posting on the actual ChampCar.org webpage and just get anything official at all off of the forum.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Make clear.
Yeah. I mean, we have some people that live off the forum. They don't go to the website. They don't check the emails we send them. There's going to be guys pulling in today that say, where's my garage? Did you not get the email? I didn't read it.
Well,
they go to the forum, though. So I agree. Posting officially to our .org website is a good thing. We'll probably continue to post to the website or to the forum just because there are a few people that's just their feed.
What I end up doing, because I do all that. So what I end up doing is I post to the .org and then we link to it to the forum and Facebook and all the other social media. That way, there's one place where I can't make multiple mistakes. There's only one place I can make a mistake. Easy to fix.
We'll take one more question out online.
It's
about 11 o'clock here.
Basically, people praising me.
Saying you need a raise, right?
No, they said, give Bill more money. Thanks, Paul. Basically, to be fair, they're saying that the interaction on the forum is more than what's being done on Facebook between, I think, the membership, because Facebook, we have multiple. We have the garage.
Well, less than 5% of our members are on the forum. I mean, it's really just So if you want to interact with people, tell them to come out to races. That's where most of the people are.
Or call me.
Or call Mike.
People ask that they wish that Mike had more respect for the forum.
What?
Respect the forum.
Yeah, Mike.
Respect for the. I've been on there over a year.
All right, we're done.
That's the point. You're disrespecting
they want me to
the forum.
respect the
Two-way
place.
street.
Yeah, exactly, Jay.
Two-way street.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah, the forum has to give more respect back.
Cheers was a great neighborhood
A rowdy bar is kind
Whatever.
of
I do answer about minimum of 20 emails a day.
Mhm.
If it's something I don't know the answer to, I say I don't know the answer to. If I don't get back to you in a week, you need to email me again.
Okay, I got that.
forgot. So right now it's 6 a.m. to 10. I'm answering emails.
Yep.
Every day.
All right.
So
Stay up later and get them
And I
done.
need a raise for that too.
Yeah, whatever.
So Paul Cruz says that Bill missed the mark, not praising me, but the mark on the rules enacted by change discussion. Matt was saying the rules implemented by tech without member review have been the most controversial.
They can be controversial, but understand that our bylaws say we are responsible for rules. We don't have to do the petition process. We don't have to have a tag. We have implemented that to involve people with it, but the board can make rules and implement them without anybody's input. That is in the bylaws that filed with the state of California. That is our job.
Or clarify.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
11 o'clock, 2 hours, we made it. I thank everybody who sat through this today and online and on the comments. You have any further questions, things you want clarification with, you can find me at the track. You can email myself, Tech, or any of the board members when we get home, and we'll be happy to go over stuff with you. So, all right, guys, we have a race to run today.
2021 petitions are open.
I love that one.
Email them.
Yeah, I saw that too.